Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're going to be taking a look at round 2 of D.LEAGUE, the 2023-2024 season. This is going to be match 1 between FULLCAST RAISERZ and MONOLIZ. So I am pretty excited about this, not only because of this matchup, because they're so different. You got Crump versus Whacking in Vogue, so this will be really cool. But also, I do not know who won any of these matches yet. So today, as I go through the matches, I'm gonna look and do my analysis like I normally do, but I'm gonna kind of make a prediction of being like who won and who didn't. Now, am I gonna be like full shutout versus not at all? Like I don't know if I'm comfortable enough quite yet to do the points. But I'm just gonna see who won versus who lost, and then we'll look at the judge commentary to see if I was right. So without further ado, I think let's just go ahead and get started. Whoa. I love this. Wow. This is so beautiful, guys. Oh. Yeah. It is nice that we have a little bit of like one's an all white and everybody else has the black, and you see some dark. They have some dark paint or makeup or something to really help signify that lower half. That is so cool. Yeah. Yes. Oof. Gorgeous. Sheesh on that. Okay, so initial thoughts. I really like that. It was so different than what I was expecting, which of course is kind of one of our goals. We don't want to overuse concepts, of course, but we also don't want to overuse pockets of genres too, you know, because I know with our audience, some people are going to be people that come multiple times, as well as your judges are going to be seeing them over the course of the season as well. And when it comes to D.LEAGUE, the only note that I have for the judges is we do have some level or some degree of subjectiveness that takes place, because sometimes they do compare the group and what they brought from years past, but in a way of like showing growth instead of just isolating it to, is this a repeated concept? Like that's a very different and a very fine line you can walk on. But for the most part, they do a pretty good job of just explaining the reasoning behind the choices they make. So I don't have as many issues with this league as I do with other competition circuits that I've encountered before. I love this energy. Like, I love how he has such a, you know, really positive tone, and everybody else is kind of walking around. It says, don't let go. So I don't know the full intention of this track. I think that's okay. It does feel like there's a sense of there's people around him, but he's isolated because he's the only one not in a particular outfit. So I love this pull of energy on both sides. Boom, boom, boom. Bringing it up, everybody to match. Let me see if I can. Yeah, quality is where it needs to be. I mean, dipping it down, that boom, dripping it down. Of course, I would always say there's a good chance that you could refine the transition from where they were to just kind of just stepping down. It did feel a bit placed of we're setting up into a leveled formation, but that wasn't even bothersome. It's just a note. As they go down, boom, and notice they go down and then they do a little speed change. So they have a little accent and then they slow it to come up. Really nice to see that boom with that energy. I really enjoy that. Touching the eyes, but notice some of them did touch the top of their head and some kind of hovered, so that would be a clarification thing. But they're doing a very good job on intentionality behind the hands, because sometimes people close them, some have them too open, but here it feels like they have about the same amount of energy. Some of them I think are actually, they're over flexing the first half of the finger, but then the secondary section is bent. So I would say I think he's over tensing because of that. But everybody else, it seems to be matching, because you want to match your feature, which is him, and they're all doing a pretty good job with that. So moving on from here, I love the usage of coloring their hair too. Just that breath, bringing it back in, boom, head, boom, tearing it down, switching it out, boom, boom, love it. So I'm actually really sore in my neck because I just did a dance cover and it required a lot of my body. So forgive me if I can't really showcase any. I just literally had to take a moment because that actually hurt. Okay. Whew. But yeah, just that head accent down now. And notice the bleed into the fingers at the top. I love it. And they're looking up. He's the only one that's able to look at the light, and everybody else is kind of shadowed, and having the darker makeup on the neck really helps make it feel a little bit more somber. And I really love that choice. Dipping it down, boom, boom. And I just love that bleed in between where they have it here and then they bleed it down. That's fun. Bringing it around, boom, right there into a tut thread, and then having him have more of a surrender with his arms up. Bringing it down, boom, boom, with the shoulders, and then they bleed it. I like this track a lot. Boom, 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 and they bring up that hand. Bringing it through. Love this. Everybody hits back, drops it down. They don't do any crumping, like basic fundamentals. I will say though, some of the isolations, the type of isolation training that you do in crump can really help in some of these types of perspectives of movement, because you're very aware of how to use power in isos. And I really like how they chose to integrate this here. But what makes it different is you're not used to seeing people who are heavily into crump have a very legato or speed change accented approach to a lot of this. So that's really, really nice to see here. And I love he's allowing to have his moment. I love this 1, 2, that 3 pulse. That's a proper way to, whenever you're going to repeat a groove, he adds just a subtle build to that, but they add a beautiful build up to that. And it's just interesting. It's just, and it's also with like the tone of the vocalist. It just have this like, it just has very chill, but we're asking for something, but we have a sense of defeat in our tone. It kind of is what it gives off, or I'm tired. And I love that, and how they hit this. It's just, there's a lot of breath behind the movement, which is very impressive for them. They come up in the recover. Also note too, I don't have as much experience watching these crews as much as maybe other commentators have, obviously, but it's still really fun for me. I am excited to get to see all the different sides of a lot of these groups, because it makes me become more aware of what I'm actually looking at, and I think that's super fun. I love this, that little joom, 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 joom. I love that. And they slowly come up and they go doom, doom. Love with speed change. Notice, or like with the opposition with the hinge is fun, but some of them, the reason why he doesn't stick out as much is because you have other people that are sticking out in that way in different directions or in other parts of the stage. So that's why it feels a little bit more communal in the individual choices. And that was a really good choice there, personally. And then they all go down, boom, boom, boom. I do feel like that part's not as clean as it could have been, but it's probably because of our camera angle. I may chalk it up to that. If we had a full cam on near the front, it may have read differently, but I think it's just the angle in general. I love this build here, and then we have this moment where he takes him and he kind of traces around his head, and then they chose to trace down the arm. And I love that because he used his arm to trace the head. They're using their arm to trace their arm. And so they hinge it around very complementary in all of this. So the feature always feels connected to them, even if they're separated. And that's a really good thing you want to have, because you don't want it to feel so isolated, meaning that we're on two different pages. We're on the same page, we're just in different states of being and states of mind. And that is more of what you want to come across in a concept like this. The energy there, boom, and a boom. That right there was a little whoa from Crump. Love seeing that, and the energy they're pulling on that. Having this isolated lighting moment was so nice. Little Crump, like a Crump perspective, some variance. Now notice they are doing a little bit of a walk here. So personally, I would feel they would need to be in that spot a little bit better, but it could be they are doing choreography and just the lighting worked out that way. I love that we have a sense of opposition, and they do have that same color hair, and so you're able to see a little bit of that in the beginning whenever they were hunched over in the levels, but here you see it a little bit more clearly, and I really like it. And then having it all add on, which is really nice. Let's do a formation check. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, if you want, this is like, well, with D.LEAGUE, it's a perfect place if you're like a dance teacher or a choreographer and you have 8 people. Just go to D.LEAGUE and look at what they do with 8 people. Like, it is incredible that every single round that we've seen or match that we've seen, everybody operates with the same number of people, yet they carry such different weights of how they choose to carry out a routine. It's wonderful, you know? I think here it's very clear what we have in our bookends, but this one looks fine. It's right here that feels a little bit, we're kind of unclear. I don't know if we were trying to, it just went to, yeah, we just don't have defined spacing where we have a sense of clarity behind who we're supposed to be behind. I'm assuming, my gut's telling me this is what it's supposed to be, potentially. That's what I can kind of make out from this, but at the end of the day, we could have refined this formation to make it very clear, especially when we're going from the isolated one person to the isolated other person and then having the reveal. You wanted to make it feel very intentional, which it did. It was intentional. It just wasn't 100% as refined as it could have been in that moment. Dropping it down. I love this energy. Boom, doon, doon. The build out was nice, but notice we are teetering a little bit. I mean, I was about to say we could be using a couple more level differentiation. I mean, the uniformity is nice. You want to have some unison in here, but you can't neglect the other elements that really help make a routine captivating in a league like this. And so having them down, up, boom, boom. It was a little bit of a speed, just the timing thing and range I'm getting from point A to point B was a little bit off there, but it's still really nice. I love this add-on, boom, and it's slow, and it's a dip in groundedness in the energy, and I love it. And it's about to turn into an add-on, but having the energy between these two, our feature, and then I would call it my featured of the darker costuming character, I really like. Bring it on, boom, and then they bring it through, boom, with just the accents, and then they have it turn around. We do have one of our guys kind of stick out a little bit over here, so that'd be my note to figure out a different place to put him, or have this formation modified to have 2 people start it and then build it out like this, and then have your 2 in the center. But I understand that they wanted to have that point to go from 1 person and branch it off to 2. I understand that intention. He did take away a little bit from the moment that was shared in the middle because of his placement, and it just made you feel like it wasn't symmetrical, because it wasn't. Dipping it down, which is nice. I love this moment there. Diving it through. The energy here, really great on the formation choice. I love that our feature is facing the back and they're all facing the front. Diving it around, really fun to see. I love that pool of energy. Everybody is making a slightly different choice, which is good. And the full commitment is what really helps. I just noticed that everybody's kind of on the same line, but some of the twist is a little different. His is a little bit higher, so that would just have his drop just a smidge. I'm not even talking about a full foot, just pretty much like, maybe like half a foot, 6 inches. I think would be a lot better, I think, for that. Diving through, boom, boom. Diving it around. I love it. Just that pull really helped tie in what we saw from this breath, that triple breath that we saw at the beginning where they were all building up from the floor. That was really nice. And then we had that pull of energy here. So you can see as he pulls this up, really nice to see them all come. It feels very connected. And they look up at the sky and how he just lets it go, and and then they sink back down. That was a beautiful moment. Lighting did help, but it was still very captivating in isolation. They're all facing different directions with a boom, 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 boom as they're still sinking, very polyrhythmic, and then having your feature go towards the front, which is really nice. I love that pull, woo, and then they transition to another spot. Brilliant choice there. Running over to the other side. It's kind of like they're hiding a little bit, or maybe they're his shadow. It's kind of, it gives off that energy too. He reaches up, then it turns into a little crash of waves of agony or anxiety or pain is what it gives, you know, where he's using these emotions. They could be affected by him, something of the nature where he pulls and he goes away, then the next group goes and goes. Very nice that we don't have a huge lag in between these moments, because it doesn't make me, it just gives me time to absorb and understand, not critique, which I really like. It's a really good thing that you want to have. So having the energy, he comes back in the middle, we walk forward, boom. Then we are really building up the energy here near this tail end. Notice some of the range is starting to get a little off though. The more fuller you go with the more people, the higher the risk you run on it not being as clean. That's just life, you know? And so some of them are just a smidgen off. You can tell based on where they're placing their weight. Do they have it straight? Is it turned out? Also go off of your feature. He is teetering a little bit more in the torso twisting. Some of them are pulling the energy out. So, and he's honestly just kind of standing stagnant on both sides, but using his upper body mostly. It's little details like that, which is what can really be the difference in how this type of energy comes across in the synchronicity side. Here, I do see that we're doing some stomps. I love that. A little bit of the energy back here. I think he could have gone a little bit more full, or he would have not. I think he over-tensed within the pocket of that particular move in comparison to everybody else, so he stuck out just a smidge. Having your feature go in, this add-on is nice, going from 1 to 2 and then to everybody else. That swing, boom, boom, back to front. I love that. They branch it out, accent up. Really great, swinging in, creating tension and resistance, but notice this side, fully committed, looks fabulous. This side, the spacing's a little off. Maybe he needs to scoot over a little bit, and where they're looking matters here too. So I think this side was ideal for, if that was on both sides, it would be divine. Absolutely love that. Throwing it down, love the picking it up and throwing. You saw that that was a little discrepancy in the spacing on that, on stage left, but our right side. That affected the next transition that just took place. Bring it back in, boom, doom, doom, doom. I really like this. It's super fun, building the energy. Get to kind of do their own thing. Of course, I love that. But then they all do a speed change, and then right back into it. I absolutely love that moment, and he just to have, and they're all slow, and he gets to have his moment by himself as they bleed. He explodes them away. Love this energy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It does give the appearance of some symmetry. Yeah, it does. Love that. The swing through, notice some of the range is just baby off in the throws, but it's still really nice that they're building it. Doom, 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 doom. Love that. Traveling it down the throws. They drop down, having your feature. There is a chance that right before this, like just how they're choosing to come up and come down could come across as more of an, they're using that a little too much, of just that pull and that push. But how they get up and down is always slightly different, which is why it doesn't bother me quite as much. But could that be the determining factor on whether or not an audience member would vote for them, or if a judge it's going to score them significantly higher or lower? Potentially. But also remember, I do feel like the judges adjudicate this as they see the routines. They don't see both routines and then adjudicate it, and I think that's effective. That's one of my least favorite things about some circuits that do matches. Well, this is one of the few that actually does a match, but whenever you have teams go against each other, sometimes judges don't make their choice, or they don't like do their scoring until after they see both. No, I think just go off of a criteria, and then you're going to naturally have a winner and have a loser. And then your audience, that's the audience's job. The audience can vote for who they want. I think that's better. But for an adjudicator's position, I feel like that's a little bit too subjective for the role that you're in. But that was just be my overall note here, is I feel like that fingerprint of, you know, that build, that tension going up and down could be a little bit better, or not better. It could be, they could have made different, like subtly different choices, whether it's in the dynamics or in the texture or the choices of coming up and down. But because of the formation choice and because of the context of going before and after, it doesn't quite, it works. Like, it actually works really well. And then I love this drop here. That energy is really nice, and he's the only one that's standing. I think that was a really, really great run from them. So different in the best way. Makes me very excited to see the next match and to kind of place my vote on who I think is going to take it, because that was freaking great. Ooh, they got the neon on those fingers. Woo! Whoa! Wow. That was cool. Wow. Nice. Nice. This is very, very fun. Woo! Wow. Interesting finish. Okay, from the top. This is going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be in determining who would be our winner. That's right, because they even go with ties sometimes too. I don't know. Okay, going from the top, let's analyze this. I have a feeling, but we got to analyze first. Okay, from the beginning, really interesting choice. It does give off more of the, what is it, like, I'm not going to say like Hindu gods or anything like that, but like more of the, you know, those statues that have a bunch of the arms. I don't know what culture that they're not infiltrating or being inspired by. So I'm not going to really touch on that as much, but it does give off that energy. It's from their costuming as well as their nails. Maybe not the color, but how they're choosing the length of them, as well as the positionings that they give. Very interesting in these poses. And they run a huge risk because they have neon nails. In a black light like this, we can really see what's going on through the fingers, and so they have to make sure they're really on top of it here. Great usage of levels. I love the different thread motions that are happening in the middle and having them build and thread and intertwine. It's just so nice to see. Diving it down, doo-doo-doo. I really love that energy. Super dope. I love that. Super fun. Then having them go down, nice little kick and back up. My gut tells me there's a chance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they may have a special guest in this one, possibly, because of what they're doing in it, or unless they're just that versatile. You know, I mean, I would say FULLCAST RAISERZ really, really caught me off guard in the best way for that exact reason. They just had, what's the word? Goodness, chest, brain. A little bit better. They took a way more legato, more chill approach than what you would normally see from their type of style that they normally represent in the choreography context that they normally bring. So here, this is really fun. This doesn't surprise me here as much as what I was surprised by FULLCAST, but once again, the surprise element shouldn't factor into the overall adjudication of it. Having this energy, she bleeds it out, boom, they bleed it through. It does feel like we have significantly more people teetering on this side on the 4 versus on this side. It could just be somebody's directly behind somebody else, and so we can't really see them. So if we had, I mean, that's the downside of having somebody in the center when you work with a group of 8, is that it feels a little bit emptier if somebody's directly behind them or they're directly behind her. We're missing some people on this side. So it doesn't feel quite as symmetrical as it could be. Oh, she was directly behind her. So it goes down, doom, 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 doom. Bringing it through, that boom, I love that. Bringing it through. bringing it down, doing great costuming. Can I just tell you that? Fabulous costuming for the type of aesthetic they're going for. It just makes everything look so much more, it makes everything just have that extra level of essence behind it, and the textures that they can do more so because of this outfit is wild. You know, I do think that some of the material, it does give off a little bit of jellyfish energy, not gonna lie, but I mean, to each their own, and it worked for the set. So it doesn't really bother me as much. Their lighting works well too. I love having that person in the back. It looks like they were throwing everybody into the transition, which I really love. Spacing's pretty off on this right here. Notice that I'm feeling she's supposed to be a little bit further out to about right here. And so we are missing a couple of moments from back here that we are able to see on this side. So that would be my note there. I love that single, bringing it through. Great usage of having your 4 that are taller than your, not taller, but they are on a different level representation. And then you have your 3 that are in the, that are lower, and then you have your 1 in the back. Just the presence is insane on that. And they go and they switch, sliding it through, bringing it through, pop, pop, bringing it to the other side. Different than what we're used to seeing. This right here. Now, normally you would hear me say, whoa, that is a little too sexy. These are adults. These are adults as a professional league, and that's a situation where they chose to hit that and match the concept. It's their choice. Will that work for them? Maybe. Some of the audience members may be like, that's exactly what I wanted to see, and you get my vote. And some audience members are like, that's exactly what I don't want to see. You will not get my vote. So that can be a potentially, that's a risky move to do, because especially if you're wanting to get your audience vote, that can be controversial in nature because of the culture of Japan, right? But does it match the overall aesthetic? It does. When he goes around, pop, pop, bringing it around, go, and they dip down, they match a particular timbre of the track. So to each their own, and everybody did it very well. It looked very sexy, you know, and they go through and they have everybody come on. Notice the fingers, not everybody's on the same page. Some have a little, like the index a little bit strikingly higher. They also, based on how they're curling the hands, some of them have the back of the palm facing away, which is kind of what you want, but some are facing side with the hands. So that would be my note. I'm noticing it here. She's got it really branched out in turn, and hers is a little bit more like closed off. So that would be a note there. It also feels like they're not getting in and out of things as together as I think they need to for that little bit. Letting it in, melting through. It does feel seductive, I think is kind of the concept, and they are owning it, and I think that's really great. So having it here, notice it go out, boom, do-do-do-doom, bringing it back in. They are choosing like very similar ways to do the branches out. You have that one person in the center and then everybody branches away. So I wonder if that could work against them on a creative side, on the formations or the dynamics of the transitions, I think is my note. But I do like the choices that they're hitting here. The syncopation is wild. It's really impressive. Diving it down, boom, boom, over. Love the usage of the flexing right there. Gorgeous choice because they all committed low. We could really see that flexing moment high. She drops down. Everybody has really great feature moments. It's super fun. Kudos to whoever did her hair, because that stuff is not coming out. The add-on's really nice. And then we have a new person entirely. Beautiful. I love that cartwheel with the taps to the head. That was a really interesting choice. Everybody gets to do their own thing. But I think one thing that could work against them is a lot of these really captivatingly difficult tricks that they're doing, only one person's doing, or maybe 2 or 3. If everybody was doing it, that could affect the scoring, I think. Like not that I think, I know that. Sorry. It's not something that I think. That's just how it is. If one person does something complex, compared to, let's say, if somebody does on another team, they do 5 people versus the 1 person, and they're doing something about the similar level of complexity, let's say it's a different style, they're going to get awarded more points for it over just the 1 person, because what is everybody doing all the time? Here, they're kind of posing and having their moment, but it takes about 2 8 counts to only have a 1-person feature, which works depending on how often you do it. So if they only do it once or twice, and they really can bring fullness of these features or allow them to have their moment, but they're also bringing complexity and syncopation and their mobility and stability is being challenged, and their risk-taking and concept, which they are, then your scoring can really help compensate for the lack of everybody doing the complex moves, if that makes sense. So for me, there is a chance this may hurt their score a little bit because they keep only showcasing like 1, at most 3 people on more difficult flexing kind of skills. I mean, that flexing moment was really nice. That was a good example of maintaining complexity, but still showcasing somebody at an elite level of execution in that one area. I think is my overall note that I'm noticing with this. Diving it through, love the split. This right here is really cool. I love how she went all the way through and committed to that. Super nice. Finished on the front walkover. But it still only ended up with 2 people. But it didn't really last a super long time. I think that's fine. But now we're going to have everybody go down. Boom, doom, doom. Love how they're draping their arms forward to allow them to kind of sift through. Really nice. Boom, doom, 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 doom. Love that. That was cool. Hitting over. And then we're having a moment to transition. Read it through. You start to see a little bit of Vogue be infiltrated in this. I love where you have this moment here with one feature. Boom. Neutralize, boom, boom, and then the add-on begins. The hitting over, and then everybody sits in the same pose. Hit it around, great transition. Nice hand. I think it's a figure 8. So what they were doing there. Then having one person really set it up. I love this. This is a great example of allowing a feature to be featured, but still maintaining proper framing and a complex way of making it happen. I love what's happening on the sides. This is just a really great example. Like, because if you think about it, what we just saw is having that one person do front walkover, do some contortion balances, and then somebody else coming in and doing a balance hold and a handstand, and then finishing out a front walkover. For this, but everybody was kind of posing, and then they had their moment. That was a part where your complexity or your difficulty is not going to score as high. But you're able to see this here, which is really nice, and you have a really, great choices, and we still have complex representation of framing, and I think that's a really good, that's just really nice to see. Twisting it around, which I really love. I will say some of the transitions in that could have been a little bit better. Like the full rotation of the swivel, I think could have been more refined. I love the switching through in the transition to allow them time to transition up without it sticking out like a sore thumb. The spacing wise, I would say there's a little too much spacing happening over here, or this is proper spacing and they're too close in the transition. So that would be my note there. This is a boom to doom. A lot of unison with syncopation. It's great, but it's kind of a repeated choice throughout the piece, but so did FULLCAST RAISERZ have that. Hence why it feels like it's going to be a pretty close call. Or, but who freaking knows? I know eventually some of these rounds do have full shutouts. I hope I'm able to see that. I don't know. But here, it feels pretty close for different reasons. Dipping it down. Maybe I'm just insecure or that because I don't have that reassurance, like I've never technically actually called a match before. I feel, I don't know, I feel insecure on, am I right? Am I looking at the right things? But so far I've been pretty okay. We'll see. Divvying it down was a really nice choice. Bringing it back, she did kind of, she stopped as she, what was it? It was with her hips, where she goes into the back walkover. Notice that she stalled. That's what it's called. She stalled a little bit, and then she had to use momentum of the legs again, like get that little extra kick to finish it off. It wasn't one smooth rotation. That would be a note to refine there. Energy here, they're fixing, like they're finishing up their routine. Actually, they're technically not. We still got about 30 seconds left. But how they hit it, boom, they bring it around nice with the chest. She's creating moments where they're accenting off of how she's approaching it, which is really nice. Boom, doom, doom, boom. And then we swing it around, which is nice. Boom, da-da, twisting over and moving on. Here we go. Vogue has entered the chat. Let's go. The energy is really nice here, but notice that these guys are more in check. These guys, it feels very muted in regards to the comparison between the two sides. It doesn't matter if they're supposed to do the same thing or not, as long as whatever's happening on this side needs to match with each other, and the energy on both sides needs to help properly frame whatever is happening in the center, and it is not. So that would be my note in general there. Oh, they are supposed to do the same thing. This side is way more, they're dropping it. They don't quite have that arch in that framing, so that would be something to take note of. Switching it around. I love the dropping down with that moment. Yes, with the walks. I love it. Now we're branching it through. Notice the range is pretty off on that finishing touch. Regardless if you have features, everybody needs to start their range the same way. So it's very clear when somebody comes up and somebody comes down. They come up, they slide through. That boom, boom, boom. I really like that motion. That was nice. Swiveling it through. She goes down. So we are seeing a lot of similarly executed movements. We did see a cartwheel with having that arch in the back take place with the feet touching. We saw that, but now we're seeing something similar to that, but it's a back walkover this time. And because we've already seen a back walkover done, and we've already seen a front walkover done, we've seen handstands done, these things are not, they're not adding any extra elements to this that are helping the overall, what's the word? They're not elevating the technique push. Like the risk taking on these choices isn't elevating. It's kind of staying here with just a little bit of risk. And I'm not saying that the risk is not happening within the trick itself. I'm talking about the ebb and the flow of the pacing of the routine. We're not having an elevation of risk within the tricks to keep us captivated on when we choose to have these one feature moments of the trick. I think is my point. That was really nice to see. Now everybody is finishing up in nice unison. These are really tricky positions to hold it down and be in unison on. You can see it a little bit more, especially with some of them. They are over crossing. Some are crossing at the calf, some are crossing at the knee. That would be something to note. I would say over here for the most part, that's pretty in check. There's just a bigger, there's not as much clarity on this side between these three, and that's why it doesn't feel as clean, because on both sides it doesn't, we're not all on the same page. Bringing it through, finishing it up, go down and up, wagging it through that dip, boom, they hit it up. Figure eights to finish it up. Oh, she was a little bit, they were not quite centered in that little moment, but they finished. I love this finish. It's very, very intriguing. It's kind of a, they're holding her down really strong, and I love how they angled it up very similarly to the beginning, but she's having her moment right there in the center. Now, here's the tricky thing that I'm very insecure about today, so please give me grace if I am wrong on all of these matches that I'm going to look at. Eventually, I think I'm going to be right on the money. Okay, I also come from a very different scope than the judges do, and that is absolutely fine too. I am from the Western world. This is Japan, so I understand that. For me, if I were to choose who I think could possibly take it, I feel there's a chance that FULLCAST RAISERZ may take it because of a lot of what they brought in terms of, what's the word? Oh my gosh, I'm so insecure right now. Okay, my gut's telling me FULLCAST RAISERZ took the match. By a lot, I don't think so. There's a chance that MONOLIZ may have taken the audience vote, potentially. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pencil this in, and then we'll see if I'm right. So I'm going to vote FULLCAST RAISERZ took the win, but MONOLIZ got the audience vote. That's my vote. Take a breath in, out. Let's see what the judges said. Ooh! We got a couple different judges today. This is fun. Round 2, judge commentary, match 1. Gonna make these bigger.
Round 2.
Round 2.
FULLCAST RAISERZ versus Benefit One MONOLIZ. Audience Leto, Judge Sam Blue, Judge Coach Blue, Judge Kids Leto, Judge Cody, Judge Neko Leto.
Wow! I did get it right on the audience vote, though.
すごくシンプルだけど、角の使い方とかもうまかったし、あとシンプルでそのストーリーが分かりやすかったっていう光と闇っていうのがものすごく分かりやすくて、ダンスでそのストーリーを表現するときにどっちつかずこうストーリーを追いすぎてダンスがダメになったりとか、逆にダンスに走りすぎてストーリー見えてこないとか。
You dance too much and you don't get the story.
できてたので、彼らのダンスの良さも出しつつ。
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
どうしても防具とか腕の動きに走りやすいけど、本当にこう全体の体全体使ったパフォーマンスとかそういうの素晴らしくて、
Yeah.
迷う部分もたくさんあったんですけど、最終的に
There were a lot of parts that I was confused about, but in the end, both of them were really good. This was a close match to me.
モノリスのいわゆるこう足かせっていうところを表現
Where I wanted to express the shackles.
今回の作品の中から見えてこなかったので、そこのストーリーの分かりやすさと伝わりづらさみたいので、僅差でフルキャストレーザーズっていう感じでした。
Okay. Koji
なんですけども
also
レイザーズの
gave it to FULLCAST RAISERZ as
本家
well.
とちょっと少し融合させたようなクランプ封印してちょっとクールなスタイリッシュなおしゃれな作品というか新たなクランプの進化系っていうか
New type of crump. I think it's a great piece that shows off.
そこがすごく全面に出たいい作品だなと思いました。はい。クランプの良さって力強さじゃないですか。力強さで押すっていうよりはなんかこうちょっとこう押し引き緩やかなところも見せつつなんか緩急つけてなんかその辺の見せ方もすごい上手でなんか自分の中では作品にこう引き込まれてすごい良かったです。はい。一方モノリスの方なんですけどもこのちょっとアラビアン風な
Arabian style
とその防具の相性がすごく抜群にマッチしていて、すごく良かった、かっこよかったんですよね。でまた少しこう彼女たちの妖艶さをすごく出していてそこもすごく作品としてのこうアクセントというか力を与えたというかポイントとして良かったと思います。はい、ですごくいろいろこう構成練っていて見やすくて良かったんですけども。ただ自分の中でこうやっぱりこう比べなきゃいけないので見やすくて良かったんですけどももうちょっとこうなんですかね力強さを欲しかったかなっていうそこだけですかね。なので僕はレイザーズの方がちょっと少し上だったかなっていう感じで、はい、レイザーズにさせていただきました。はい。
私はモノリス。
So freaking close.
まず、レイザーズの方からなんですけども最初の暗転の中からこううごめいているみたいな見せ方がとても斬新でこうまずそこで引き込まれたっていうのがあってで終始感情をこう表現して、表情もそうですし、仕草だったりとか、全体的な体の動きだったりとかっていうのもすごく力強くその表現力が素晴らしいなと思いました。読んでっていう動きがあったと思うんですけれどもそれがすごく安定感があって綺麗だったんですね。で私ジャズダンスなのでそういう動きを取り入れたのか今回その表現として入れたのかちょっとあれだったんですけどすごく安定感があっていろんなこうダンスの表現をするチームなんだなっていうのを改めて感じました。モノリスさんはですね最初その足かせっていうものをどういうふうに表現するのかなっていうところから始まっていたんですけれども、メイクだったりとかそのネイル
Stress in the shackles, the makeup, nails, shine. Yeah, I think the nails were so freaking sick on that.
あと、アクセサリーだったりとかそのビジュアル的な見せ方に隙がなくてでそこがまず印象的でシンクロ感も素晴らしかったですしでそれがあってその中で全体的なこうショーとしての完成度があった中で最後にその足かせっていうものを、形で表現してらっしゃったのがとても説得力があってそうですね。
Okay, I understand that. Okay. Got you. But you notice how it's a... Whoa! Kyrie said I did not like...
キャストレーザーズなんですけれども光と闇という作品タイトルで KTR さんの周りに顔を黒くペインティングされた、ダンサーたちがいて KTR さんは微笑んでいる周りの方たちはちょっとこう押し倒したりとか争ってる始まりからすごいインパクトがあって
It had a great impact.
ダンサーたちが
Seven dancers were expressing KTR's heart.
しっかり分かりましたし、でとっても心に伝わる作品
That was a word that really touched my heart.
KTR さんと触れ合って、コンタクトをしながら表現したりとか KTR さんの後ろで踊っていたりとか KTR さんと逆の動き反対の動きをするということで、多分心と闇表裏一体っていう部分をしっかり作品の中に表現されていたのでとてもすごい素敵な作品でした。
Okay.
対してベネフィット・ワン・モノリスさんなんですけど本当に完璧で壮大な世界観の作品でした。モノリスさんはアームスの表現シンクロはいつも本当に素晴らしいんですけど今回は足の表現も素晴らしかったしそこに対してのシンクロも素 素晴らしかったなと思います。お衣装が脇腹が開いてる衣装だったので、その分むき出しになっているこう、ボディを動かす動きもすごい振り付けの中に入っていましたし、でプラス
Because their bodies
露
were
出が多いっていうこと
exposed.
はこうごまかしが効かないので、
She can't fake it. She made sure to do that part as well.
すごく露出が多いのにシンクロは言うことないぐらい素晴らしく揃っていましたし、最後のもうぶら下がった女性でこう指をこう動かしてこう相手のロックオンする感じもうやられたなと思ったので、私は今回ベネフィットはモノリさんに入れました。ベネフィットはモノリスさんに入れさせていただきました。
Close, yeah. So far, I mean, most of the judges were pretty like even, except for one of them was like, oh, benefit one, and the other one was like heavy full cast risers, which just shows you like it was great. Like this is a tough matchup for sure. And just because I said that I would have picked them, it doesn't mean that my scoring, if I actually scored it, my scoring would reflect that either. Because I'd be looking at them independently, I wouldn't be comparing them. But I know in their feedback, people care about the judges, you know, why they picked who they picked. And sometimes comparing is what helps make people understand that. But yeah.
かなりのこう鍛えていかないとできない見せ方をいろんなところに、入れていたなと思います。光と闇を表現しているその闇の見せ方が自然体で見せるって本当に難しいんですよ、表現として。それを内側から必死でもがいて伝えようとする姿がすごく私の中では印象的でした。で、構成の使い方もこう一人の人をメインに360度。
I really did like that section a lot with the transitions. Like they put it and just subtly, like it felt like a opposing magnet. That was really cool.
メインの
But they're about as unrefined, like, but here's the thing, the caliber, the synchronicity on these guys, it's still very well done, especially when you have crump fundamentals involved in it with the group. But with Benefit 1, they also were around, they were on the same level of cleanliness. I will say Benefit 1 did have more complexity and a lot of their synchronicity, like, in the synchronicity that was demanded. I think for me, there was too many overlapping fingerprints throughout it for me to give them any extra, like, to give them an above edge on certain categories that I would have, that could have been judged on in particular.
踊りの中で細かな動きを
It was more,
入れてるんですけ
yeah,
れど
so.
も、全てがファッションとリンクしていて、とても見応えがある作品でした。で、彼女たちが、リスペクトしている防具、ニューヨークのカルチャーを自分たちなりに今あるものに変えて表現しているアーティスティックな見せ方がすごく好きでした。で、音の取り方が音がこう、ドンドンとある中の間の使い方、フローの仕方っていうのがこのスタイルで、見せれてることがすごく魅力的だと思います。あとは個の一人一人の見せ場として足技が何よりもスキルが高かったので、ここも一番評価が高く入った、点数の部分だと思います。なので、ベネフィット1モノリスさんに、1票
Got you. Okay. I mean, I totally understand the reasoning behind it. That was you saw after I watched MONOLIZ and I did a full analysis of FULLCAST RAISERZ. It was going to be a legit toss up for me, and because I didn't I'm not following the criteria the way that they are as much. I'm going off of my own just my own observation or how I normally analyze stuff. You know, so some of these are going to be kind of a shot in the dark for me, and so I do expect to be wrong a lot. And I think that's absolutely okay, because this is just the caliber of what we get to watch. It's just incredible anyway, and so that doesn't bother me at all that we get to watch amazing routines and talk about him. So to each their own. But I did get MONOLIZ getting the audience vote. I did get that right, but I was expecting Full Cast to win, but it ended up being, I think I think it was 2-4? I think MONOLIZ got audience, so they got 4. Full Cast got 2. I mean, to each their own. That's totally fine. I mean, you win some, you lose some. Full Cast really pulled it out last week. The last round. So it's, I mean, give them what they need. You know, I mean, I like it to be a very competitive, very, very competitive league where it's kind of anybody's game, and that's what it's turning into, and that's what makes it so freaking fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more D.LEAGUE or be able to take a look at it as I watch it, right now for this month that I'm trying to get these out, I'm just trying to catch up right now. I am still very behind. I'm currently on round 2 and they just finished round 5. So I have a lot of work to do, a lot of analysis to be had, but I'm very excited for the day whenever they have a release of their rounds and I get to watch them pretty close to real time, which will be really cool. But I always appreciate commentary or discussions that are met in Patreon and on YouTube. It's really fun for me, and I do know there are a lot of people that do watch this with me, and this is your first time hearing about D.LEAGUE or seeing D.LEAGUE, so it's really exciting for us to be able to discover it together and be able to navigate through it. I think it's awesome. Once again, I'm Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye!